Hey, it's Sue here with Awaken Steps to Health. Today's topic is protein and beans. Beans are not the only source of protein, but I wanted to talk about them a little more, and we've already talked about meat a couple times. All right. Protein is one of the big three building blocks of what we need nutritionally. Okay. The other two are fats and healthy fats and carbohydrates, which I will talk about in separate videos. Today's focus is protein. And protein has 4 calories per gram, where something like a fat might have 7 calories per gram. So if you're watching your weight, protein is a good way to go. All right. Now we're taught that we need lots and lots and lots of protein. I'm not sure that we 100% eat as much as we're told. All right. I think it is a very personal thing. You have to play with your body a little bit to see how you feel after you eat. Um, I had talked before about a book called The China Study, which talked about protein and also meat. And there was a very comprehensive study done, and it showed that meat is not always a healthy source of protein or whatever. That is also a personal choice. So I'm going to talk about other alternatives as well as meat. Okay. Protein is necessary for growth of our bodies, to repair our tissue, to build muscle, as we already know, to help us have a strong immune function. It affects the collagen in our skin so that we have supple and flexible skin, bright skin. And it gives us energy when carbs are not present. So a lot of times if we go on a really low calorie diet, we only eat vegetables, we eat no grains, we eat no carbs. And vegetables are carbs, but what I mean is like grains, our energy levels get very low, where protein will help boost those energy levels. Okay. And it also helps to preserve our muscles. All right. So sources of protein, all right, there's 2 different ways we can go on this. One is vegetarian, so sources could be grains, as I talked about, beans, soy milk, nuts, protein bars, and protein powders, and leafy greens. Okay, so there's a sheet out in the Bubble Up directory called protein. All right, it's 2 pages. All right, and it kind of describes each source under the vegetarian protein sources. And then for the meat types of proteins, you have meat, egg, fish, dairy, and bees. So protein from bee pollen. Okay. So those are animal sources of protein. One thing I did not mention before in the meat protein video was fish. We talked a little bit about how fish does have protein. It's very good for you and all of that in many ways. But one thing I would highly recommend is if you eat fish, you choose non-farm fish, meaning wild caught fish. All right. There's a huge difference in health, and the reason is because let's say you take salmon, for example. A farm-raised salmon is kept in a small pool, crowded, dirty water, and then they basically dye the meat so it looks like a wild salmon. All right. Now it is a little cheaper, but the wild salmon has natural components, and whatever color it is the color it's supposed to be. Okay. So you want to always go with a wild caught fish if you choose to eat that. All right. So we've talked a little bit in the past about eggs and about most of these vegetarian sources. The one thing we haven't talked about yet is protein powder. And protein powder, obviously there's protein in it, but it comes from different sources. So there's vegan sources and non-vegan sources. You have to look at the label. So if it says bovine, that means from a cow. If it says pea powder, it's from a plant, okay? And you may want to play with different protein powders to see which one works best for you if you choose to do that. Often I'll put a scoop of protein powder into my smoothie or juice if I'm thinking in advance. Sometimes I just start gulping it right down, but sometimes that boosts up our protein in a quick way, all right? Now, the next topic I want to talk about is beans. Okay. We've talked about meat, a little bit fish, eggs in the past, and some of the dairy products like cheese and all that. But beans are a cheap, quick, and easy way to get protein into your body. So on our Bubble Up website, there's beans and there's bean digestibility, okay, which is more like kind of an overview. So the beans worksheet tells you how to cook the beans. It's assuming that you're cooking dried beans, which is not hard to do. You just have to plan in advance. And it tells you how long to cook them. All right. So if you're going to cook dried beans, normally you rinse them first, but you soak them, okay, to make it easier for them to cook. If you cook them right out of the bag, they're going to be hard. They're not going to be very tasty. You want them to be a little bit softer when you eat them. So soak them first and then cook them according to this chart, depending on what kind of bean you're using. And some people noticed a lot of gas when they eat beans or bloating, and that is natural and normal, but also soaking first will help reduce that discomfort. It is also my opinion that the more you eat healthy, the less intestinal issues you'll have down the road when you eat beans or whatever. One other thing is you don't need like giant plates full of beans. A few beans are going to give you great protein. All right. So you don't need to eat the whole can if you choose canned. Just a few is perfect. All right. Now, one other thing I wanted to say is plants are always a good way to get nutrition in your body. So people don't realize this. Above and beyond beans, there is a way to get protein, and that's other plants. So plants have vitamins, minerals, antioxidants. They have unsaturated fat. And then there's something called phytochemicals in a plant. So the plant obviously gets its energy from the sun. It grows in the earth, and all the nutrients in the plant work together to create something that we can't create chemically or in a lab, something natural that is really good for us, called a phytochemical or phytonutrient. Those are great for us. So that's why I'd like you to maybe investigate or consider plant protein, like eat more broccoli, eat some spinach. Whatever it is, you'll get the nutrients and the energy that you need. Hope this was helpful.